Lequang Liam, he's top, I think he's top like 30 or 40 in the world, um, over 2,700. Very strong player. I've played him a couple times in classical games uh, and collegiate events and lost both. So he's playing a Grunfeld. Seems like some kind of theory. I'm not a specialist in anything related to the Grunfeld. All I know is black usually wants to play e5 at some point. It's one of the main pawn breaks. Iron Faith with 200 bits. Thanks for the bits. So clearly with rook e8, he wants to play e5. He gets e5 in. Things get traded. And then c6, okay. So queens are staying on the board. This brings us to the current position. It's going to be a fight. I mean, it looks very balanced, equal material. I think Grunfeld's a very good opening to play to get like some imbalanced position where there's room to play for a win against a weaker player. I should note in the first game, the board 4 on one team plays the board 1 on the other team, so this is the biggest rating differential. There's about 600 points between these two players. And okay, we see that with this last move a5, black is going for some positional play on the queen side. And white's still playing very quickly. Knight e4. Attempting to trade bishops and simplify. I think at some point we'll see a4. Like a4 maybe right away. Maybe black will take first and then play a4. But in a position like this, black wants to use the queenside majority to, at some point, probably get a pass pawn and then use it to have some advantage. Okay, so AJ Murawski asking if the actual ratings are FIDE ratings. Yeah, I think these are FIDE ratings. I think chess.com for this for Pro Chess League, they changed the username and the rating to match the person's like FIDE profile. That would be my guess. And the ratings I use are from September, so I think these are probably September FIDE ratings. This is the first match, Pro Chess League match of 2019, so I'm still learning kind of the ways of what's going on. It's been a while since I've streamed on chess.com, but good to be back. Always a nice sort of layout with a square board. I guess all boards are square, but I like the fact they put the name of the player below the board. Okay, good to see a lot of people in the chat. Who is watching? A lot of people. Bracken Dawson. Why is a chessboard different, says Abdo Benz. I think I've answered that. We are not on Lee Chess anymore. Yeah, Cover brings up a good point that Lequang Liam recently lost to, is it 11-year-old or 12-year-old Christopher Yu? I think he's still 11 in the Bay Area chess tournament. Christopher Yu had just a monster event, beating not only Lequang Liam, but also another GM, Peter Prohaska, and he became the youngest IM in US history, which is huge. 100 bits from Serenilio. Thanks for the bits. So Lequang Liam, he's not invincible, except when I play him, he's invincible. Like, I've never beat him, like even in training games. We were teammates for a couple years at Webster, and we would sometimes play like Blitz or have some training, like sparring sessions, and he just crushes me every time. Oh, I forgot to change the stream title. Let me do that right now. How do I do that? Did I change it? No, I didn't change it. My bad. Okay, I think that worked. Go back to the chat. Chat. Okay, it worked. Nice. Angel Aguero from the USA. Okay, so the position's evolving. Um, Black did not go for a4 as I tried to predict. Knight d5. Yeah, f4 looks very weakening. And bishop g4, what a move. Distracting the queen from defending b2. And the great thing about this position, e3 is just a major weakness. Like it's kind of backwards, it's aligned with the queen and the rook. Not to mention f5 was also a threat. f5 still a threat. So white plays f5. Brings us to the current position. This is looking really nice for black. Like black just has amazing piece harmony. Rooks in the center, super solid kingside. And I think white weakened himself when it really wasn't necessary playing this f4 move. Just gives black a very juicy target on e3. And queen e5 has a threat, very simple threat of just taking. Removing the knight, and then everything's kind of falling apart for white. And if white takes and just take back and still go for f5, and f6 is the only other move that comes to mind, but just knight takes f6. Always nice to see how a super GM like just outplays a weaker opponent. So g4, interesting try. Trying to maintain the f-pawn. But again, like, okay, white is weakening himself a bit further. But what to do for black? I was thinking bishop h6. But that could maybe prompt g5. And black would just like to build up more pressure. This is another exercise I recommend, especially when watching strong players play live, is just try to guess their moves. It can be a very proactive way just to study chess. Knight f6 looks very reasonable. It's a move I would be a little hesitant to play for black because it allows some opposite-color bishop position. But I guess if the knight goes away from e4, then it's easier to get to e3. Okay, so I'll try and answer some questions in the chat. Okay, the title update worked. Nice. Elephants have bigger brains than any other animal. Good to know. I might play with elephants, or at least visit some elephants within the next week. Thailand is a great place. Like there's some like elephant sanctuaries where they rescue elephants, and you can go and like feed them and bathe them and take pictures with them. Hello to Setner. Rob just discovered my channel and devoured it. Okay, well, nice to see. I hope you devoured it in a good way, not a bad way. Queen f3. Okay, so there's some action. And this bishop is currently pinned to the pawn. g5, but just pawn takes, or queen takes g5. What was g5? I was thinking maybe something like h4. Like h4 would have been more interesting, because the bishop's pinned and g5 is hard to stop. But g5 immediately, I think that's just a blunder. And now black is up a happy pawn. This pawn's still weak, the king side's open. And if queens stay on the board, then black has attacking potential too. Opposite color bishops sometimes make positions more sharp. Like h2 could be a target. Okay, rook d2 coming. It is 5:33 a.m. in Thailand. It is usually not a time that I'm awake for, but I really didn't want to miss the first match of the Pro Chess League. This is the third season of the league. Last year, the Windmills made the playoffs, or at least made like, I think the round of, is it the round of 8 or round of 16? Then we lost to Minnesota. But we have a very strong team. We have potential to go very far. Hopefully at least make the live finals in San Francisco. So there's going to be matches every week for the next, I think there's at least 10 in total, 8 to 10 in total. And then there's a few like weekend, like special event matches too. So I'm going to try and do as much commentary as possible during these matches. If I'm free, I'm streaming them. Am I coaching again this year? I don't know what you're referring to about coaching. Like just private lessons? Or like coaching some teams? Hey, it's a donation. $10. $10. Saying something about something. Greetings from Poland. Nice. I didn't catch the name though. Whoever donated $10. Thanks for the $10. And say hi in the chat. Because I feel bad I didn't catch the name. Yeah, let me know where you guys are from. It's always interesting to see like the diverse countries who are being represented in the chat. Okay, the name was Damien. Well, thank you, Damien. How does a Pro Chess League work? Asks Majesticness17. It's hard to like say entirely how it works in a concise statement, but I'll try my best. Essentially, there are, I mean, I should really know more information. There's about 32 teams from around the world. Each team has at least a few grandmasters. I think 5 out of the top 6 players in the world are represented, including Fabiano and Wesley So, playing for the St. Louis Archbishops. And each team is basically just a different city. And every week they play online matches against different teams in their own kind of division. And then the highest scoring teams will make the playoffs. And then the final 4 teams of the playoffs will compete at a live event in San Francisco. And the top, or the winning team of the season gets $20,000. I think second place team gets $10,000. So there are some nice prizes on the line. There's also weekly prizes for like best game and I think best move. Last year I only played one match for the Webster Windmills, and I had a terrible showing. I lost 3 games and drew a game. And thanks for the bits, Niall Homer. 2,000 bits for being up so early. More like staying up so late. I've stayed up way too late, but I'm going to try and stay awake for the next hour and a half at least. Anyway, I played last year, and my one draw was like a miracle draw. The game ended in stalemate because my opponent pre-moved something, but he kind of fell into like some funny trap. And I ended up getting move of the week for it. And to get move of the week, I had to beat out Carlson and Caruana in a Twitter poll. It was one of the best like victories of my life, beating them in a Twitter poll. Okay, so black is crashing through. Very soon, I think we're going to see either checkmate or resignation or queenside pawns being pushed. We could switch over and look at some of the other games. There are currently 2 other games going on. So we'll take a glance. I glance at this position and just see this massive gun on the e-file. The so-called Alekine's gun. Neil Homer with a sub. It's Neil as an open file. Not sure what that means. Okay, knight c8 with the clear intention of bringing the knight to a happier place. So this match is between Ilya Nizhnik, very strong GM, was also on my team for a couple years at Webster, playing against Alexander Katz. So I think a pretty well-known IM from the US. Strong player. And even like GMs, it can take work to beat like an IM like this. The current position is equal material. Black has some pole. Queen d2 is played to like defend the rook enough times so maybe the knight can move. I'm actually curious here, why can't white just take the f4 pawn? Knight takes f4. I mean, trade a bunch of times on e1, but that's not getting anywhere. Yeah, I'm actually confused here. Like, why is he giving away f4? I probably would have been inclined to play g5. I mean, there's some knight e4 intermezzo. Knight e4. I mean, maybe just knight e4 and then rook f6. Maybe he calculated some initiative. So white doesn't take the pawn. Knight c3 is safer, preventing knight e4. Also trying to neutralize the e-file. f3. What a move. Seems like a sort of a positional sacrifice. Black just wants to destroy white's pawn structure. Like if pawn takes f3, there's queen h4. And yeah, the king side's very weak. If white plays g3, then this pawn just stays on f3, and it looks kind of annoying. It's a nice move, and he played it just so quickly. Like sometimes a move like f3, you don't really calculate, you just play intuitively. And it puts the ball like in white's court immediately, and now he has to take more time in trying to judge the risks. I mean, I would probably be inclined to play g3 because it prevents queen h4, but he takes. Okay, bold decision. Expecting queen h4. I'm thinking the combination of queen h4 and knight f5, because d4 is also a target. Looking for other candidate moves for black. There's knight f5 immediately. You could play knight f5 immediately to keep the h4 square open, because maybe the knight wants to come to h4 and attack the pawn. There's also queen f6, just hitting f3, pressurizing d4. And queen f6 looks attractive. Oh, Niall is pronounced Nile. Oh, so it's Nile as an open file. Oh, okay, I understand that. Whoa, okay, so as soon as I get distracted, the position just drastically transforms. So he did play queen h4. Okay, they trade and he wins d4. So it's still equal material, but okay, black's clearly better for multiple reasons. And structurally, these pawns are sad. More active queen and knight for black. Just better coordination too. Very safe king. And there's some attacking potential. Like still this maneuver. It's very possible. This is the type of situation, like if queens are off the board, then white should be okay. Actually, black's allowing a queen trade, which is somewhat surprising. So I would think black wants to keep queens on the board because, okay, white's king is less safe. But the ending will still be pleasant for black. And maybe there is nowhere good to go with the queen. Like he didn't want to give away the a7 pawn. So this is going to be a grind. He's playing so quickly. Like, Ilya is one of these players, he's, I don't know how to describe it. He just doesn't calculate. Like, he has so much underlying knowledge and he has such good intuition that he's able to blitz out moves. Just has a very good feel for things. It's actually incredible. This knight could be, I don't want to say trapped, but could be stuck for a little bit. Like, the idea of king f7 or king f8, king e7 looks annoying to deal with, because the knight like literally can't move back towards its own territory. Like, all these squares are off guards, and the only safe squares are like moving deeper into black's territory. But we might see like knight b7, knight c5. But black's king is going to activate. I wouldn't be surprised if black just walks a king and white's king is just kind of stuck on the king side. So I'm staying with this game. The Lequang Liem game is still going on. I'm assuming he's going to win very shortly. Oh, his opponent's just playing out a lost position. Sarah Nilio, thanks for the bits. Switch from Chessbra. Guess you maybe wanted a different Eric. Well, thanks for the support. C5. Wow. I mean, c5. Now this knight's going to be stuck. But it's a question, can black start targeting the pawn? Like, black would really like to get this knight to d3, where it can control b4. So I'm wondering if this is a possible maneuver. Like knight c2. The thing is, though, black has to watch out for counterplay. So he plays b4. This nice prophylactic move preventing white from playing b4. This is what we call artificial isolation. Like, this pawn isn't technically isolated because there's a pawn on a neighboring file, but it's basically isolated because white can't never defend the c5 pawn with his own pawn. And now it seems like there's a very clear plan again for black, just to walk up the king. And white seems paralyzed. Okay, maybe the knight can transfer itself, but that doesn't really do anything. So okay, white's trying to walk up his king at the cost of giving away the f3 pawn. Also, white has 18 seconds left. Forgot about time. This again goes back to why Ilya is like just so good at rapid. He really puts the opponent under pressure in the position and time-wise. And we're just seeing like just a nice positional grind. He doesn't care about winning the f-pawn. His knight e6 will come at some point. But okay, king d5 first. Yeah, and pawns are falling left and right. Knight f6 is an idea. Maybe h5. h5 looks nice, because then g6 is very hard for the knight to attack, at least quickly. You do have to be careful though. Like, sometimes these endings, knights can be tricky. Have to watch out for potential forks. I mean, he could also just take and then later play h5. Bits from Jacob Shore. I helped you so much in previous years at NN. Oh, nice to hear from you. 100 bits. Thanks for showing up on the stream. For those who don't know, NN is the high school I graduated from. And I still do some coaching for them too. I'm their official assistant coach for this year, even though I'm out of the country for a few months. Okay, so somehow he won. He won both F-pawns. Ah, okay, so he just walked up the king so deep. Yeah, this pawn can't be stopped. It's resignable. Okay, so Laquan Liam won. Ilya Nizhnik won. We have one game going, and I'm really sorry to say, but I think our board 3 forfeited. I'm checking Facebook. Pretty sure our board 3 forfeited. More on that later. Let's look at this game. Joshua Grabinski, who's a new recruit for us. The brother of Aaron Grabinski, two very prominent chess players from the state of Oregon. Unfortunately, it looks like Joshua is going down this game. But going down with a fight, I mean, Sathurman is very strong GM. Like, look at the rating differential. Almost 700 points. So to be lasting this long is maybe some... there's some good thing about that. And in a team match like this, sometimes it's good if the weakest player gives the strongest player some grief, then it can take away their energy for later games. Okay, so we'll leave it on this one. Very little hope. You never know. Knights can be tricky. What's NM? National Master, yeah. So National Master title for Grabinski. It's a title which isn't, it's not a FIDE title. It's a US title. If you cross 2200 on the US rating, they'll mail you a certificate saying you've earned the title of National Master. I think it was the first title I ever received, or at least the first certificate for a title that I've received. So amazingly, it's still a little bit tricky because the queen's active, and the queen-knight combination is usually better than the queen-bishop combination. King g7 is a good move though, just purely preventive. And yeah, the king is safe. What to do? Maybe queen c7, hit the bishop, hit the pawn, which is defended, but then king f7. And king f7, maybe go back and then try and get some play. How do you enter an over-the-board tournament if you have no FIDE ranking? That's a good question. I actually don't know the specifics. I know, like, to get a FIDE rating, you need to play over-the-board tournaments against other FIDE-rated players. So you basically start off as unrated, and when you play a FIDE event, you get a FIDE ID, and then I think you need to score 1 out of 3 against FIDE players to get an official rating. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. My first FIDE rating was like very high, at least for my like level and age at the time, because I performed well in my first FIDE event. I got a rating of like 2100 something when I was 12 years old. I remember that actually, because I was babysitting like these younger chess players when I was when I was 12, and then the parents were really impressed that my FIDE rating was over 2100. My first job. Okay, so 94. King g2, king safety first. Not looking good. But okay, time is getting low. 32 seconds for black, 19 seconds for white. Queen c5 is pretty much lights out. I think we might see queen h8. And just c2. The king's going to find safety. Like, there's only a few checks for white. Or maybe, I don't know. He has to worry about queen takes h5 check. King g2. I mean, black's getting seriously low on time, but so is white. There is a 2-second increment. Yeah, he's scared of queen takes h5. So just take the pawn, give a check, and just keep checking until king g7. Maybe knight g4? I think you have to go for it. It's not the move you want to play. Bishop b2. Oh, bishop b2. Queen takes b2 with check. Please play bishop b2. Oh, he's going to see it. There is also queen takes g5. Knight g4. Good try. Oh, still bishop b2, queen takes b2 because there's counterplay. Wow, this is getting close. Queen d1, good move. Queen e3, I just have to hope the checks work out. King g7, check on b7. Good fight. Just keep checking. Yeah, bishop g7. This is not going to last. Whoa, black almost flagged. He had point something seconds left. Flag, flag, flag. He flagged. We won on board 4 versus board 1. Seth Thurman went down. Wow. That had to be internet or lag or something. That's insane. What a fight. That's so awesome. Joshua Grabinski, rated below 2,000. I think his rating is actually higher now, but at least like earlier rating below 2,000. Wow. So we won 3 games that round. There's 4 rounds total, 4 games per round. I feel bad for Sathuraman. I met him a few months ago in St. Louis. Nice guy, very strong player. I mean, he's completely winning in the final position. You just, like, right? King f6. I mean, okay, the king just runs. Like, king f6, there's knight g8, king e5. I'm sure there's other ways to run, too. That was amazing. Nice job, Joshua. I was about to just, like, look at the, like, other stuff and not even focus on this game. But that got really exciting. So I'm going to try and update the score. This is going to be a challenge because I think it might cover the screen for a moment. But let's... Actually, let me check with the... Yeah, okay. So I'm pretty sure our board 3 forfeited. Which I'll try and get more information when I have it. But let me update the text. Yeah, let's move this. And it is 3-1 in favor of the Windmills. Okay. So yes, I'm a member of the Webster Windmills. I think I'm on the roster as a player. I'm not planning to play any games this season unless they need me. But I'm a manager. I'm basically the social media manager. So helping with Twitter, with live streaming on Twitch. I was a main manager for the last 2 years, but because I'm traveling so much and I'm not living in St. Louis, there are some new managers now. But yes, I'm still very much affiliated with the team. And I'm rooting for them as much as possible. Clearly rooting for them helped, at least in this game. So I think the next round is going to start in a couple minutes. So I'll try and answer some questions. We have a question from Neil Homer, or Nile Homer. Is it Neil or Nile? No, it's Nile because open file, right? How do you recommend getting out of a slump in terms of chess playing? I've had a streak of losses and I feel like I've got worse even though I've been digging into reassess your chess. Um, yeah, chess is not like other things where if you work, you instantly get rewarded for it. Usually the general path to improving in chess involves short-term rating fluctuations. And by short-term rating fluctuations, those could kind of take place over years. But like long term, if you're studying and you're staying active and staying passionate, usually your overall chess understanding should be improving. But if you're playing and you're not seeing immediate results, it's just a matter of persistence. I actually wrote a bit about this. I was in a slump for from 4 to 5 years where my rating was just completely plateaued. I felt like I wasn't improving. And then in the span of like 3 months and 2 tournaments, I gained 100 points. So rating doesn't correlate necessarily with chess ability. The two are related, but like your rating could go down, but your understanding can go up. And especially if you're studying something new, then it's actually common for your rating to go down because you might be experimenting with new things. But over time, just have to stay persistent. That's my best advice. Any recommendations for e4 openings that are similar in style to London? That's a difficult question because, I mean, when you play e4, black has so many different responses, and you have to react to each response usually a bit differently. So yeah, it depends on the response from black. And then within each opening, I can give recommendations. But you can't play, it's hard to play a generic e4 opening against every single black defense. But I have given recommendations in the past, like knight c3 Sicilian, 2 knights attack against French, 2 knights attack against Caro-Kann. A lot of these openings just prioritize development and have some tricky nature to them. So now we have round 2 starting. And this is still concerning because I'm not seeing our board. We have a board 3. Oh, he is playing. Wait a minute. Am I not observing him? Okay. Closing out of some games here. How do I observe him? Observe game. Okay. So let me explain what's going on. It's 3-1. One of our players, Alex Shimanov, very strong grandmaster from Russia. From what I heard, he's in Vegas right now, and he was struggling to find internet. Some issue was with the hotel he was at. So what to do? But now, okay, it looks like he's online and he's playing against Sir Thurman, who just had a very disappointing loss. Like if I was Sir Thurman right now, I'd be like completely on tilt, flagging in that position. And that's the brutal thing about this league is like if you lose a game, there's not too much recovery period. Like you have to play a game right away. You have to play 4 games in a row with very little break. So we have a Caro-Kann. And probably what I'll do, I'll just take a quick round of the games and then pick which one I think will be the most interesting. So, okay, this is some dynamic middle game, some advanced variation. Limley against Alex Katz. This is very boring looking 4 knights. We have our hero, at least so far of the match, Joshua Grabinski against very strong grandmaster Ettore Zaga. I'm tempted just to stay on this game. Some very dynamic kind of Benoni position, maybe came from a Sicilian. And then we have Nizhnik against Jan Miller. Their board 4. What opening was this? Exchange Slav. Bishop g5. I remember having some study sessions at Webster and the players just discussing this variation. I wasn't really paying attention, but I vaguely remember f6 is a move. And then stuff gets weird after that. But black just played some normal stuff. And then, okay, this is actually similar to some Trompowsky line, where white takes early and has slightly better structure. And there's some positional play. Like white has ideas of bishop g2 and knight f4, as a d-pawn is isolated. So black's going for b5, potentially b4, and remove the knight from attacking the d5 pawn. So my first inclination would be to play knight f4 and allow knight e2. But okay, he's allowing b4. I guess the question is, where does a knight want to go after b4? Like, do you go back to b1, or do you go to a4? Or maybe you have queen a4. Again, we see the speed of Ilya. Like, he's like bishop g2 is a move I would take time on and calculate b4, but he just allows b4 and lets his opponent think. Super major pain with 100 bits. Thanks for the bits. So I want to see black play v4 because I'm curious what Ilya's going to do in response. Domination. Thanks for the comment. Second time on my stream. You didn't say hi in the last one. I forgive you for that. Yes, John Bartholomew is playing in the Pro Chess League. I think he plays later on today. I think he's playing China. I know he plays Ding Liren like in the first game. It's going to be an interesting battle. Okay, so b4 was played, and knight a4, and very quickly b3. And Ilya just blitzes out a take b3 like nothing happened. Like, how do you just take on b3 right away? Just such a surprising move. So it's somewhat of a positional sacrifice. Black is now trying to win back the pawn. And the b3 pawn is a bit hard to defend. I'm wondering if white just gives it back, maybe castles, and always feel good when I guess the move the GM plays. Yeah, just castle. If knight takes b3, I guess the rook has to move. Rook a2. Yeah, stay on the a file. And again, like this pawn, it's still isolated. Still ideas of this and this. And the knight on b3, it looks impressive, but it's really not doing too much. Knight c3 is nice. It comes with initiative. And actually, white's going to have some like continual threats here, because a7 needs babysitting, and then knight f4, then the d-pawn will need babysitting. I don't know if black has enough babysitters. Like the queen has potential to maybe defend, but the queen's already defending d5. And if d5 is lost, that's a key center pawn. So black just gives up on defending a7. I don't know if white even wants to take a7, because knight f4, like why not just win d5 right away? Really liking the play by Ilya. Like his last game was great too, just like keeps applying pressure. And doing it quickly too. So yeah, let me answer some more questions in the chat. The time control is 15 plus 2. So 2-second increments. Normally with increment, players shouldn't flag, but we did see it in the previous round. Their board 1 flagged against our board 4, 700-point rating differential. Hello to more people. I can't pronounce your name. Giddy something something something. And hello Tim. Doing well. We should have mods in the chat, right? Okay. So d5 is lost. Yeah, knight takes d5. Okay, if bishop takes d5, knight takes d5. Great position for white. I think we're gonna maybe move on to a different game. Because when Ilya gets advantage, like his technique in converting winning positions is pretty stellar. So let's look at Joshua's game. Joshua putting up another fight. Hey, donation. Let me make it bigger. Next coffee is on me, says Domination. Thank you. Yeah, actually $2 can buy at least 2 coffees in Thailand, so I appreciate that. And there's some good coffee here too. Like there's so many like different, I don't know, foreign looking options where they mix. I don't even know, but I appreciate the $2. Yeah, real quick, let's just take a look at the opening because I'm curious what this came from. Symmetrical English, okay. I actually play this line as white with e3 and d4. So early d5. These positions can be difficult for black because it feels cramped, like there's not much space. But there is a c5 square to work with. This knight finds some nice posts. And a5 is very thematic to stop b4 and essentially reinforce the knight on c5. Rook e8. Sometimes rook e8, the idea is to meet bishop h6 with bishop h8. Preserve the dark squared bishop, ensuring that f8 isn't a target. Bishop a6, okay, attacking c4. Now e5. Probably the other idea of rook e8 is just to push the e-pawn. So lots of trades. And looked like white had some pressure, but somehow, whoa. Okay, things got really messy. Like a fork, and then a pin, and then defend against check. And then queens are getting traded. Wait, I thought white won a pawn there. Am I hallucinating? Did white sack a pawn? Why can't I count? Oh, so, okay, so it's equal material. And then he won a pawn. Oh, okay. I wasn't counting the king side, so white is up a pawn in the current position. But black has 2 bishops. So it's still a fight. Like one thing about the 2 bishops is sometimes you can choose when to trade off the knight. And if black can play, for example, bishop d7 and bishop takes on b5, then there's drawing chances. Because then it would just be obstacle bishops, very hard for white to win. So bishop d7 would be my first inclination here. Plays king e7 first. I wonder, was there anything wrong with bishop d7? King e7 feels off because it puts the king on the file of the rook, which usually you just don't want. Because now bishop d7 runs into something like f4. Okay, so we'll let this game develop a little bit. Say hello to more people. Hello to Aiden from Ireland. Question from erud12. Off-topic question. What's my favorite food or dish? So since I was a little kid, my favorite food has always been pad thai. And today, I had some of the best pad thai I've ever had. It was amazing. My Airbnb host recommended some random mall restaurant. So I went there, and she said it's the best pad thai in Thailand, which means it's probably the best pad thai in the world. And it was definitely the best pad thai I've ever had. It had like smaller noodles, but it had so much flavor and like nicely presented. So I'm definitely going back there at least several times. And thanks for the bits. Heart Wise Noodle. I'm trying to work on your name. Welcome back. Have I ever had an over-the-board game that was theory for you from beginning to end? From beginning to... I've had some very like deep theoretical games where I've like prepared for the first 20 moves. But from beginning to end, yes, actually once. At least once. Maybe more. I mean, there's been like quick miniatures. But I had like a 20-move game at, I want to say it was a K6 national championships. I was like in 5th grade or 4th grade. And I played a variation. My first coach taught me. And like we had a notebook where we kept all my chess openings. And it was like one of the very first variations I learned. It was in the notebook. And it was just a whole game, like just 20 moves, white, sacrifices, the exchange. No, white sacrifices a whole rook and like 2 or 3 pawns and then mates. And played out the full game. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video on that. Let me write that down. 18-move miniature. The Muller attack. Ironically, I'm writing this down in a notebook. I bought a notebook today for like the first time in 5 years. I was walking through the mall, came across this bookstore, and it said stationery. I figured that like notebooks are useful. Some nice escape from the digital world. Okay, what's going on? Oh, so I get distracted and the position just transforms drastically. But black's down 2 pawns. Yeah, I really didn't like king e7 because he had to go out of his way to stop f4. So he lost h7. But okay, opposite color bishops. Super major pain is subbing. So life isn't so bad. And a4 is played. So he's trying to simplify. You have takes. Actually, a4 is very nice. Because if this line happens, b takes a4, rook takes c4, this pawn can't really be defended because the bishop controls a1. And the rook controls c2. So like bishop c2 or rook a1 are just unplayable. And meanwhile, black just wants to take. And if white plays bishop c2, then like a3, a2 could even be winning. Actually, maybe not. Maybe bishop c2 is playable and then bishop e1, but that's not what white wants. So again, it's amazing. Like Joshua Grubinski rated far below his opponent. Again, putting up some valiant fights. Gonna take a glance at Ilya's game. Ilya's just crushing. No need to look at that. So the GM going in the tank. I mean, what are the candidate moves for white? I mean, I'm pretty sure he had to take. And this is nice because black's position plays itself for a few moves. Like just eat pawns. And this pawn is a potential strength. If black can get it rolling, it's a pass pawn. It's the only pass pawn on the board. Now the thing about obstacle bishop positions is that it's very easy to set up blockades. So this probably won't be a threat, but okay, more importantly, the a pawn's falling. A5, does a5 do anything? A5 takes b6, the pawn can get to b7, but then the rook comes behind and this pawn starts rolling. I would think that this is what Aturzage is calculating, so it seems pretty concrete. And then you have to like determine if the rook can come in time and promote before the a pawn rushes down the board. Ray Clay says the bricks look cool. At first I was like, what bricks? And I realized behind me. Yeah, for those who don't know, this is my second stream of today or of this morning. I streamed earlier this 5-hour-long tournament on Lichess just to stay awake for the Pro Chess League. So I'm trying to stay energized. I still have a little bit of tea left. It's very strong because I left the tea bag in. Okay, so we're seeing this line. This is going to be exciting. Those whites going all in. I mean, worst case scenario, black can push, and then the bishop forever defends b8. Which is a nice resource to have. Majesticness, I'm not playing in this. I'm only doing commentary. I'm technically part of the Windmill team, but only 4 players play the match. Rook e3. Okay, so rook e3 is prophylaxis against pawn a3. So one move that comes to mind is bishop to b2. Just control a3 and get the pawn rolling. It's a nice position to have time to calculate a little bit. Plays bishop d4. Maybe now, now bishop b2, there's rook takes a4. That's unfortunate. So bishop a7, okay. So things are a bit stuck. Ooh, that's a good move. Yeah, this pawn's going to be lost. And the opposite colored bishop ending, I think, is just lost. It's really unfortunate. He's going for counterplay, but don't think it's anything. And white has more than enough time. And bishop takes f2, though. The rook a8 would come. Yeah, I saw Carlsen play. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw Carlsen play a little bit of the title arena. I saw the final result. It was just insane. He's so good at chess. I saw him play last night too. I wasn't in any event. It was just some like bullet match against this Iranian GM. They played 71 games straight. Yeah, black is pretty much dead here, unfortunately. All the other games are still going, so yeah, let's just make sure that this one is actually finishing. Because, okay, this is a check. And if king h1, there's like perpet, so he has to move to h3. But why is white thinking here? King h3 is only move. What? Oh, king g1 is a move. Oh, they're playing so quickly. Like I would be taking time trying to figure out this discovery scenario. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's any good discoveries. Maybe g4. G4 and get some perpetual. Let's calculate. G4, queens, rook f3. That's just a draw, I think. King g2, rook f2. Because if the king moves to h1, there's rook f1 to g1 with mate. Oh, the problem with g4 is rook f8. Ah, almost worked. Rook a8, multi-purpose. The reason why white doesn't queen immediately is rook b2 check. So rook a8 supports b8, threatens rook f8. If we see a move like, if we see a move like rook f5, king g2, rook f2, the king just runs to h3. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Mari Shav asks, where am I at? Nice location. I'm in Thailand, in Chiang Mai. I only found out today the bricks behind me, they're just painted on the wall. They're not actual bricks. Like they're just, it's a flat wall. They look so realistic. Like it's good. Whoever painted them, it's just genius. But it does add to the decor. And I found, at least spending some time in like Airbnbs in Asia, the interior design is really good. Oh, so he allowed rook f8. Okay, now it's over. Okay, so, I mean, that was an expected result. I mean, one win from Joshua is just a stellar result for this match. So let's move on. Ilya won his game. Crushing final position. Nice. So let's look at Kwang Liam's game. They have some major piece endgame with white having these menacing center pawns. I'm just trying to absorb what's going on here. f6, disobeying the natural laws of Ben Feingold. Inviting e6. e6 looks like a nice invitation. Just push the pawn. Because if e6, if anything takes on d5, you just play e7, I think. Maybe there's some queen d6 check. I'm sure he's just trying to calculate concretely. Takes on f6. That's very logical too. Because black's king is going to be very unsafe. There is queen d6 check. Queen d6. Pick up the pawn with the queen. White's up a pawn here though. After queen takes f6, white has the extra center pawn. And a huge time advantage. So yeah, I really like Lim's chances. And most people on the Webster team call him Lim. Before I knew him, I just called him Kwang Liam. But yeah, Lim or Liam is his like go-to name. So he loses a d5 pawn and leaves this pawn on the board. It seems like there's some nice forcing variations for white. Like, okay, the first line I calculated is this, and then f7, but then black is almost mating. Maybe the line could continue. Like, queen e8, king h7, f7, rook d1, rook e1, trade on e1. Don't think the f7 pawn is making it. There's also this move, f7 right away. Because if king takes f7, queen e8, king f6 Rook f2. That looks really fun. King g5. Or maybe rook f5. Rook f5. That's frustrating because there's no good checks. Trade rooks. So he takes on g7, destroying all shelter that the black king had. Thanks for the comment, Birdie B. Good to see you in the chat. Okay, so it's not back rank mate. The king can't take on g7 yet because there'd be queen g4 check. And if trade on e1, then white is winning h4 in some lines. So queen d2, trying to force the trade. Oh, queen g4, picking up the rook. That was just simple tactics. Well done, Laquang Liem. 2 for 2. We have one game left. Suthuraman against Shimanov. Shimanov's first game of the Pro Chess League of 2019 because he didn't show up for the first game. Let's try and absorb what's going on. Black is better, up a pawn. Amazing knight on f3. I like to call this octopus. So it has so many tentacles. 8 to be exact. But white has counterplay. Like these rooks and knight are a little bit scary. Like there's some threat of this. Wait, can black just play rook d1 and mate on g1? Maybe knight g5? He has time to calculate. There's also knight takes h4, which looks kind of interesting, but probably doesn't work. Super Major Paint asking if I went to Africa to give out the $50,000 worth of chessboards that you gave to me. I have not been to Africa yet. I'm going next month. But I do have chessboards to give, none of which I was given. I was given money to buy chessboards, though. There was some stream a couple months ago where people donated saying that I should buy chessboards for kids in Africa. So I got 2 nice boards. One is a travel magnetic set. Another one is like a fold-up board, kind of tournament style pieces. I'm hoping to get some maybe basic books, but I mean they all speak some obscure language. So I don't know. When I'm gonna stop in Portugal. When I'm there, I'm gonna try and find some basic chess books. So he played knight e1. What is this? I mean, black has at least a draw. I feel like it's gonna be a draw. Usually when he thinks like this, he's trying to find a win. He's probably not finding it. He's probably just gonna take the pawn, give perpetual check, and that will be that. So Ilya won. If this is a draw, then it's 2.5 to 1.5. So we win kind of the mini match. And it is going to be a draw by repetition. So let me update the score. Webster Windmills move up to 5.5. 5.5, 2.5. I do math. Let me change the score here. Okay, 5.5 to 2.5. Shift this over a little bit. Not that. Be nice to have like a whole graphics team to do this for me, but okay, there we go. Looks decent. So the next game should start shortly. It should start automatically. So let me say hi to more people in the chat. KB Khan thought I was in some slum. I'm not in any sort of slum. I'm in a relatively cheap apartment, but cheap in Southeast Asia is can still be really nice. Cover asking an interesting question. You like the video with Tam? Am I planning to do more instructional videos with students? Usually I don't record private lessons, only if the student wants to like save it for later. So it worked out with Tam. But I did do a lesson with a friend recently. It was just kind of a really casual lesson where we just analyzed one of his games. But it was all recorded like automatically on Zoom. So I'm trying to get the recording from him, and he was more than happy to let me like share a clip of it for YouTube. So maybe within the next week, I'll post another video like that. We kind of did a trade because my friend is like pretty successful YouTuber, has over 300,000 subscribers. So he was giving me advice on like YouTube strategy. I was giving him advice on chess strategy. So win-win for both of us. Mana Samad, okay. 50,000 boards, no pieces. I have pieces too. My chessboard had to make an appearance last stream because there was this giant moth and I had to use it to protect myself. Any handy tips for getting the most out of chess books? I'm tired, so it takes longer to think about stuff. I think, okay, kind of an easy tip is to, rather than just read the book, is to set up the position over the board. Looking at over the board and physically interacting with the pieces can help you internalize things better, especially compared to just passively reading. Like the physical act of making the moves, I think it should have some psychological impact of just helping you better internalize things. Another tip I have, maybe a couple tips I have, another big one is find a training partner. Find someone around your same ability, ideally in person, to like go over the book together. Another tip which you can do, actually this would help if you don't have anyone in person to work on it with, is to create a Lichess study. I know we're on chess.com right now, but okay, create a Lichess study and save what you're going through in the Lichess study, and then that way you can do kind of your own analysis, do your own research. Everything gets saved, so you can review things later. You can analyze with Stockfish, Opening Explorer, and you can collaborate with people. So if you find someone online who wants to go through the same book, like have a Skype session and yeah, or even have multiple people. So those would be my tips. I think the next game will start in about 3 minutes. Like the games ended slightly more quickly this round because we didn't have any like sort of marathon game compared to round 1. How come I didn't make the team? I'm pretty sure I'm on the team. We can check it out though. More bits from Norge Rap. Thanks, Norge Rap. Or is it Norge Swap? Or is it, no, it's Norge's Rap. Okay, appreciate the bits. Let me go to prochessleague.com. Let me try something new here. I'm gonna switch the window. And people should see, this is a website. And if we go to the menu, players, and search for Rosen. Hey, it's me. So I'm officially a player in the league. I doubt that I'm going to be playing any games, but If I'm needed, I'll show up. I wonder if I could stream and play at the same time. That'd be interesting. Neil Homer with more bits saying thank you. Thank you for what? Oh, I answered your question. You're welcome. Okay, let's go back. Games should start next minute. So we only need, let me try to do math. We only need 3 points to win the match. There's 16 points up for grabs. We have a donation, $4 from Majesticness. It's so small and it's hard to see. Hi Eric, I'm a fan. And it goes away. Feel free, Majesticness, if you want to share your comment in the chat. Or I'll make a clip out of it or something. But thanks for the donation. Do appreciate it. So yeah, usually the games start at like any time divisible by 10. So it's 6:39 right now. The sun should be rising. Maybe I'll see a sunrise. But it's cloudy, so maybe not. Zach 215, etc. You probably get this question a lot, but I just started watching YouTube videos and I'm very interested in trying chess out. Any basic things I should do to help me start off? There's so many resources online. I mean, if you're already on YouTube, that's a great start. Chess.com or Lichess. Maybe get accounts on both sites. You can get a free account on chess.com. They have premium memberships too with more features. Lichess, everything is free. Very easy to start playing, people. If you're a complete beginner, I recommend going to lichess.org/learn and going through the exercises. Very user-friendly, builds up some just basic pattern recognition. And then like once you complete all the exercises, then it gives you resources to go from there. But yeah, do what you enjoy. Like if you enjoy watching videos, watch videos. If you like to play, then play. When you're first starting out, the chess landscape can be overwhelming. And things can vary from player to player. Like everyone has their own learning style. So if you're looking to improve, sometimes you have to see what works and what doesn't work. So we have games starting. We have symmetrical English between Turizaga and Lequan Liem. So we're getting to the point in the match where the pairings are leveling out, and there's some closer fights, at least rating-wise, smaller rating differentials. Our board 1 is playing their board 2. Actually, the most recent time I played Lequan Liem in a tournament, I played the English against him, and he played symmetrical English. I think he played a different line. He started with knight f6 before knight c6, and he went for the immediate d5, and he completely outplayed me. But I know he's very well prepared in these lines. He's a former World Rapid or World Blitz? Oh, he won the World Blitz Championship in 2013. His opening preparation is very strong, positional understanding very strong, very good at moving quickly. He has not wasted any time off his clock. Majesticness, interesting comment. You're an entrepreneur making laser cut engravable chess sets. Wow. I don't know if I can answer your question, what to engrave on it. But you can send me a message. You can go to my website, contact form. Yeah, I'm bad with suggesting things to engrave. But that sounds really cool. Love to learn more. Okay, so they're developing. Let's do the usual round and then we'll pick which game is most interesting. We have... Wait, did all the games start? Oh, I need to watch Shima again. We don't want to do that. Where is Shimanov? Okay, so hey, we have a polar bear opening. I haven't seen a polar bear opening since I played the polar bear, or since I attempted to play the polar bear. F4 on move 1. So the funny thing about this opening, I only discovered this, or made the realization, like a day or two ago. But the polar bear opening starts out as a bird. F4 is a bird's opening. I'm sure a lot of people watching have already seen, but I've posted a lot of content around the bird, like around the, what do I want to call it? Around chess and birds recently. If there's anyone watching who hasn't seen it, I don't know how you found my stream without seeing all the content I posted on the bird. But the bird opening is 1F4. My most recent Instagram picture is a picture of this position with a bird sitting on F3, like an actual bird. And yeah, very soon, like after E3 and B3, this is now the polar bear. So that's how evolution works. The bishop wants to come to B2, and white just wants to dominate the E5 square. And it's actually a really interesting configuration, relatively aggressive, and a nice line, especially for a GM to play against a substantially lower rated player. It's offbeat. Black has to think from early on. Let's go forward here, because many more moves have been played. Yeah, so white is okay giving away the bishop pair just to strengthen control over E5. Because knight E5 is nice, and now D3 with the plan of knight D2 and knight F3. And now white's thinking, usually it's nice if black castles kingside, because then there's some potential attack with the queen combined with the bishop. I think black is being smart here by holding off and not castling. Caden J. Taylor has not seen the bird video. You can just go to my YouTube channel. If you type in Eric Rosen bird into YouTube, it should be the first hit, I would imagine. Unless I'm completely wrong, but yeah, click the link that Mubot just shared. Thanks, Manas. So he plays knight D2, natural move. Wants to go for the maneuver. It's getting light outside, but there's no sun. It's so foggy, so depressing. Looks like rush hour too. Major highway, so many cars. So this game could take some time to develop. So let's move on to the Nizhnik game. Playing a Caro-Kann. Ilya usually plays this, the French, but I think a lot of GMs on the Webster team are very capable of playing Caro-Kann. Bits from Norge's Rap. When am I going to become a Grandmaster? Great question. I wish I knew the answer. I don't really have the active ambition of being a GM, because I think a lot of people don't understand there's a big gap between IM and GM. So right now, it's not a priority for me. But I do own gmrosen.com, just in case. Okay, so some Caro-Kann theory. I feel like I've seen this line before. Like Ilya's still having most of his time on the clock. Trying to make sense of this. I mean, the pawn on e5 is weak. This is kind of a double-edged sword. So on one hand, it's kind of a target, but on the other hand, it controls space. It allows knight d6 in some positions. So with rook c1, white is saying that black can't take the pawn because the bishop is pinned, which is logical. It's actually a little bit annoying here for black. Rook d8 can't be played, this bishop is here. f6 doesn't want to be played. The pawn on e5. h6, just bishop h4. So what to do? Maybe get the queen out of the pin. But queen c7, I mean, you're walking into the c file. I mean, maybe just rook c8. Rook c8 is one of these normal looking improving moves, but I don't know if it does anything. Because white has maybe some plan of queen, maybe some eventual plan of queen b3, rook d1, maybe even queen d2, rook d1, and just apply a lot of pressure. Because there's only two open files in the position, the c and d file. And especially because this bishop controls d8, black might have a hard time contesting the d file. So Norge's wrap, to get the GM title, I would need 3 GM norms. To get a GM norm, you have to play, there's a lot of requirements, but you have to play in at least a 9-round tournament. You have to play at least 3 GMs in that tournament. And you would need a performance rating of, I think, 2,600 FIDE, which is very difficult to do. You also need to play, I think, at least 7 title players and at least 5 different countries represented among your opponents. So I've been close to GM norms twice. I was very close once where I needed a win in the last round and I drew. But yeah, I would need to spend just full devotion, maybe a few years of just focus and study and active play and a lot more traveling to chase after the title. It's not worth it for me. How many times have I had a 2,600 performance? I mean, I've had tournaments where I'm undefeated where, I mean, arguably it's over 2,600 performance. I think my highest performance was like maybe mid 2,500s, maybe high 2,500s. My best performance ever was Chicago Open 2015. That was a tournament, if I had won my last round, I would win, or I would get the GM norm, and I would win first place and $7,500, but I drew. I still won a couple $1,000, and I got my my 4th IM norm. But yeah, it could have been better. So, okay, so Ilya chose this h6 g5 idea. Actually pretty logical. I mean, it looks weakening, but at least this rook is happy. The e-pawn's defended now by the bishop. But now at least, okay. Yeah, black is solid. It is 6:52 a.m. in Thailand. I'm going to sleep after this match ends. It's been a long morning of streaming. We have the last game we haven't looked at. Joshua Grabinski against Alexander Katz. Let's take a quick look at the opening and then I'll choose which game to stay on. d6, knight d7. We call this Old Indian. And transposes into some Philidor. Yeah, all of this is very natural. Knight g5, interesting. Knight g5, kind of both sides lost tempi. So white had to move back and forth, black had to spend time moving the rook. I like the way Joshua is playing. Keeping his composure, having some space advantage on the queen side. I mean, he's playing, again, a significantly higher rated player, but keeping his cool, staying reasonably close on the clock. And that's a good sign, because this is his first time playing in the Pro Chess League for our team, and I know it can be intimidating playing alongside three like grandmasters and playing against grandmasters, in this case international master. He's 1 out of 2 for today. Did he just blunder just as I'm praising him? I don't think he blundered too badly. I mean, queen g6 maybe was overlooked. Black has now 2 threats of taking on g2 and taking on h3. I think white has to take here and play knight e1. That's the only defense I see. Maybe there's knight h4 though. So, okay, if knight takes f4, white can decide between these 2 moves. Actually, if white can just, okay, make sure we're not losing anything on the king side, then focus on just positional play. Like, white's dominating the d-file. Knight h4 is nice, being active, attacking the queen, defending both pawns, and also maybe allowing some future knight f5 possibilities. I have a feeling white's slightly better here. Like, very impressive play. I have to check his actual rating, because I know he's not 1979. I think he's at least 2200 US rated. Maybe his FIDE rating is low. Sometimes these scholastic kids from the US, like, they just don't play FIDE rated events. So they're very underrated and very valuable when it comes to Pro Chess League. Queen g3, I like trade queens, keep it positional. Even though white is allowing kind of the damage structure, the pawn on g3 chases this knight away. The knight would then be restricted by like white's pawns from all sides, and then the knight can come to f5. And white just wants to keep making life better. Rook d7 eventually, knight f5 eventually. So we're going to see this very positional endgame. Maybe black has something to fight for, as, okay, e4 is kind of isolated. There are some ideas of knight g5. Maybe we'll see king f2 to e3. Like, why not centralize the king? Rook d7 first, okay. Attack the pawn. I would expect b6. Then there's some follow-up ideas like knight f5, knight d6. If b6, white could play a6. And then the a pawn is just fixed. There's also a move for black, rook d8. I mean, the great thing for white, though, okay, he's expected to lose this game, being outrated. So if black simplifies, okay, that's fine. But if black tries to keep things on the board to play for a win, it could be risky. So I kind of forgot about the chat. I'm talking about performance rating. Is really good. Thanks for the comment. What was that emote? Still Theory emote. Cover saying Team Grabinski. Yeah, we should just change our team name. The Webster Grabinskis. We have 2 of them. Aaron Grabinski is he an IM? No, I think he's IM elect, or at least close to IM. And we're going to see knife f5. How many people have their knife f5 emotes? The opening was weird. It was d6, knight d7. Very quick slow motion replay. d6, knight d7, and it was some old Indian. I played through it earlier. It wasn't the most like exciting opening, but I think white's just keeping some pull. Okay, so we did see b6, a6. I mean, if I were white, just improve the king first. Does black want to play king e8? And maybe king e8 if rook e7, king goes back. Ooh, so some trade. Wait a minute, can the knight hop into c8 and win the pawn? Or even win this pawn? It's happening. Because this knight is so clumsy. Okay, maybe c5 is possible? But c5, knight c8 still. And if knight c6, there's b5. So what happens after knight c8? Ah, knight c7. But there's a line. Maybe it doesn't work. But maybe it works. Knight c8, knight c7, knight takes a7, knight takes a6, and then knight takes on c6, and white's up a pawn. But he doesn't go for it. Ah, he's going for b5. It's astounding how quickly he's playing, because like I feel like there's so many lines to calculate, and I don't know if he's playing on intuition or if he's just calculating at ridiculous speeds. I think the first round there was the game between Nizhnik and Katz, and it was also some night ending where Katz just got completely outplayed. So we might be seeing it again. And b5 makes a lot of sense. Just hold on to the strongest pawn in the position. If knight c7, so the problem with knight c7 b5 is that white's tied down to defending. Knight c7 b5, and then the threat is king e7. My problem is I'm just so tired to like calculate precisely. Much rather just sit back and watch what happens. Casual Mate in 24 says, I like that name by the way, have I seen the site about the ELO meter and do I believe it's accurate? It was accurate for me. I did a whole video on it. If you type in my name and ELO meter into YouTube, you can see me struggle for 2 hours trying to complete the test. But it was in like within 15 to 20 points, I think, of my actual rating. But then you read the YouTube comments, and then people are getting results that are missing by hundreds of points. I think it's less accurate for lower rated players. But yeah, it's sometimes hard to say with those types of models. Lucky Luke, thanks for the comment. Uh-oh, is something wrong with the UI? The bottom board. Oh, that's not a UI comment. Wait, what did Fate say? Too hard to keep track of the chat. This is board 4 for the Windmills. Our top 3 boards are 2600 plus GMs. Our top board is 2700 plus. All games still going. I'm not going to switch them because I'm very curious how this position is going to unravel. But I'm just taking a glance. Lim Lei is up a pawn. Shima has... Oh, Shima's getting... I don't know what's going on in Shima's game. And Ilya's getting crushed. Okay. Or is he? Sometimes it's hard to judge. Lim is better, Ilya's worse. Shima unclear. Hello to McDonald from Brazil. What time is it in Brazil? Infinite Flash Chess says, my setup is great. You were referring to what Fate was talking to. Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's weird. I'll read comments and people are talking to each other and not to me, then I get confused. Real quick, I want to just glance at Shima's game because I'm also just really confused about this position. Oh, he's just crushing. He's white. For some reason I thought he was black. He's just monster crushing. Wow. Okay, we saw the bird turn into the polar bear, turn into a massive kingside attack. Like, how does black allow bishop takes f6? Because now we see this rook lift. Like, all these moves are so common for this structure. f5, nice. Like, black castled and now is trying to uncastle. Queen g5, nice move. c4 is really nice too. Trying to remove this pawn to allow knight e4. Knight e4 is just going to be devastating. Feels so good when all of your pieces are just attacking and coordinated, and f6 is a target. And if the queen moves to defend, there's rook takes f8 followed by queen takes h6. And black is below a minute. Okay, life is good for Shima, and he's in Vegas. Okay, so we have some developments in this game. We'll stay with this one. Okay, so we saw c4, knight c7, b5. So this is what I was trying to calculate, but was too tired to do so. And now, so now there's this interesting barrier. The king can't enter the center. King e8's illegal, and king e7 walks into knight c8 takes a7, defending b5. Nice little knight dance. So black plays g6, trying to maybe activate the king like this. Now it's a question, what does white do? And white is thinking. So even though this plan takes 3 moves, I don't know if white has anything useful to do in 3 moves. Like, the knight is tied down to b5. And white could actually be worse here, unfortunately. Because if the king comes to e6 and then you have to move the knight, you lose the b5 pawn. So he's activating the king. That's not good to play king f2, run into king g7 and start thinking again. I mean, he's going to fight even if he loses a pawn, but... Okay, so... so he attacks e5 and he wants to go to a3. Nice. And then if his king can come to like c4, then his knight can be free to roam the board. So knight a3. Nice way to save the pawn. I still have a feeling black is better though. Because if white had to maneuver the knight from d6 to a3, that's not a good sign. Wow, it's really foggy. Does people see this? Look at that fog. That's so foggy. Huh. There was a tropical storm that hit Thailand, but didn't really hit my area directly, but we got some rain. So this might be like some consequence from it. Speaking of consequences, oh, king c5 looks scary, but knight c4, nice move. And black's under a little bit of time pressure. So clearly, okay, white just wants to hold on, play for a draw. I don't think this is pollution. If it's pollution, that's not a good sign. I think it's just missed. Okay, so f5, g4. I'm imagining like Nathan just cheering, saying play g4 now, and Joshua giving in. Happened to me last stream. Okay, so king takes e4, easy move. The problem for white is that 3-on-2, because these pawns are doubled, white can't really make a passed pawn, and black has a passed pawn. I'm trying to figure out, like, knight c4, knight d6, takes. I think the king pawn ending is winning for black. That should be easy win for black. And that's not good if the knight can start crawling all over the place. Okay, so Shimanov officially won. Knight c4 allowing the king pawn ending. Not so sure about this. Knight d6, it should just be, for the reason that, yeah, black's just going to walk up, and eventually these pawns will be interlocked. We'll watch it, because sometimes I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. Because black can just keep wasting tempi with king e6, king d6. I mean, he might be calculating like the pawn race, which could also maybe be winning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not winning. Useful trick to calculate pawn races is to just calculate the number of moves, or count the number of moves. Just remember who moves first. So he probably wants to play h5. h5 seems like the best try, and then go for this, but what's going on in that line? Can black win that? Too tired to calculate this stuff. Because it's a pawn on the h file against the queen. The pawn's on h7. Maybe the queen can sack and black wins b5 and it's another pawn race. That would be insane. I mean, this is the only thing white can go for. So we're going to probably see this play out. King f5, king d5. Because what else to do? Ah, the problem is black's just going to win b5, trade queens, and then win with the b pawn. It's unfortunate. So he's trying. So yeah, the winning plan for black, like just check, king g8, check, king here, and then take on b5, and then win white queens. Black trades queens, and then promotes the b pawn before white can take the g pawn and promote. And he sees it. Oh, there's also king e6, easy move too. Like in this position, king e6, and then if queen, then queen f7 mate. Much easier. I don't know why he's thinking. There's multiple ways to win. Okay, so he sees this line. That's the first line I saw. There's a funny trick. If black's king was on e6, I would play king g6, hoping black would pre-move queen takes h8, then it would be stalemate. But because black's king is on d5, there's no hope for that. Yeah, hard-fought game. I think white was better, and then he just didn't. He didn't rely on concrete calculation. Going back to this moment, like, okay, this is easy for me to say in hindsight, but I think it's an important lesson in a position like this. You should really only trade rooks if you know you're going to win this a7 pawn. And I think he maybe moved a little too quickly or just didn't see black's resources with knight c7. And probably could have held on to more clear advantage earlier. Yeah, should have kept rooks on the board, and then of course should have kept knights on the board, but I think once knight d6 was played, it was already pretty bad. So, ooh, Lim Lei lost. How did he lose? I thought he was winning. Oh, he was black. Ah, so yeah, the names are weird because I guess people don't see this on the stream, but the names are off to the side, and the bottom name is black. Okay, it's strange. So he lost. So Ilya's still playing. Let's look at this game. Ilya's up a bishop. Oh, this is just completely winning, and he's up on time. And he has some mating ideas. And he's really fast, so should not have to worry about flagging. Which team am I on? I'm on Webster Windmills. And I found out earlier I'm officially on Webster Windmills. I am on the player roster, but I'm probably not going to play this season. I'm going to be doing a lot more commentary, far less stressful and more rewarding. Speaking of rewarding, thanks for the sub. Ryan Hartman is great. Okay, won't argue with that. Good job, Ilya. Okay, so we split the match, or at least a mini match, 2-2. Ilya won and Shimanov won. Joshua and Laquan Liam lost. So the current score is 7.5, 4.5. Let me update. (7.5 to 4.5). Wait, did I do math correctly? That should add up to 12. Yes, okay. Mana saying get Priyadarshan back to Webster. No, Priyadarshan, Grandmaster, who graduated from Webster, has moved to India and he switched teams. He played for the Windmills last year. He was one of our main managers last 2 years, but now he is playing for one of the Indian teams. So it's unfortunate, but that's life. We still have a number of GMs. I could show our roster just to show off some big names. Let's go to teams, Windmills, and I'll try and fix the framing in a moment. Okay, so people can see pictures too. That's nice. So Ilya Nizhnik, he's a small person, but he's just a monster at chess. Laquan Liam from Vietnam, top 40 in the world. Shimanov, he's frightening on and off the board. Talia, rising junior. Peter from Hungary. Emilio Cordova, new player, recent recruit to the Webster University team and the Webster Windmills. And here's our player roster. So we can see a plethora of GMs. Ray Robson should be a common household name for people from the USA and just any chess player in general. Member of the US Olympiad team that won gold. Vasif Darbailey. So most of these, almost all of these players play for the Webster University team, or have played in the past. There I am towards the bottom. The way these matches work is that the 4 players have to average below 2,500 FIDE. So you need some lower rate of players to help balance out the higher rate players. That's why we have Joshua down here, very good at balancing out 2600s. So the 1979 combined with Lim, Ilya, and Shimanov, I think averages to like 2485, which is a pretty good number. So anyway, let's go back to live chess. I'll be streaming one more round. It's the final round. Games should start in 2 minutes. And then the stream should be over in half hour, hopefully. better be, because I need sleep. I'm running out of voice and words. I'm going to be right back and get some water. Good time to take a break. So game should start in 1 minute. If people want more information about the Pro Chess League, you can visit prochessleague.com. And their website's pretty nice, well designed, easy to find what you're looking for. Kudos to the web designers. So we have some people from Spain in the chat. Good to see. Wait, did Lequan Liam win in San Francisco? I know he lost to Christopher Yu, but I didn't see the final results. Nice comeback if he did. I'll take Pass Pawns 99's word for it. Have to look up the final cross table. So we have game starting. Speaking of Lim. So, final games. Board 1 plays board 1, board 2 plays board 2, and so on. So it's kind of the fairest matchups. And we have some bishops opening. Don't see the bishops opening too often at the highest levels. With 92. Players playing very quickly. Seems like some opening preparation. Sometimes there's more leeway, especially for high-level GMs in Blitz or Rapid Chess, to just be more creative in the opening. Especially if you're well prepared. Try and at least get your opponent out of their comfort zone early. So I am making some concoction of water and vitamin C. Don't want to spill this on my laptop. Looks good. This is a pro tip for people who travel a lot or play a lot of chess tournaments. Vitamin C supplements, they prevent you from getting sick. Very easy to get any like drugstore or like convenience store or supermarket. Good to take once in a while. Okay, so players are beginning to think. It's actually concerning that Lim is thinking first, as he played what was supposed to be some surprise opening. I mean, I should mention, we only need 1 point out of these 4 games to win the match. So hopefully that's not too difficult. There looks like there's a game that hasn't started, which is a little bit concerning. Oh wait, no, it's Shimanov's game, which has started. Just wasn't following him. Here's a game. What opening is this? Hey, it's Bits. Bits from Mao Zedong EPR. That's a new name. Thanks, Mao Zedong. Didn't think I would ever say those words in my life, but I appreciate the bits. Okay, so what opening is this? Italian. Oh, early d4. Actually, I've had like similar positions before, and I've never known what to do against d4. But I guess black sacks. It doesn't really sack the pawn, just trades pawns. Looks playable. I mean, I'd be a little bit concerned about this knight, but maybe it's okay. I mean, rook e1 can't be played because f2 falls. Queen d5, scary looking move, but okay, worst case scenario, the knight can come to e6. Okay, let's see the other openings at least. Nizhnik, or other middle games. This looks like a London? It's a London! The first London of the Pro Chess League. And black is employing the double fianchetto, which is a solid response. Anyone who doesn't know what to play against a London, this is actually kind of annoying to play against. It's just very solid for black. And it leads to a positional game. Like still very playable for both sides. a4 is very typical, discourage b5. Queen b3, very typical. Ideas of knight c4, targeting b6. Egg noodles with 500 bits. Thanks for the bits. Saying enjoy your stream a bunch. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoy your noodles. And now Zedong has been watching YouTube, but hasn't caught a stream until now. So yeah, this is basically King's Indian versus London. Both sides kind of have done their setups. No side has moved into the other's territory yet. So it's kind of one of the clues of what will be a slow kind of maneuvering game. Let's move on. Wait, there's sound happening, but oh, because he took the pawn. Okay. Let's take a look at Grabinski's game. So this looks like some Nimzo Indian with g5. This is another Nathan moment. Like sometimes when I play and Nathan F is watching on Twitch, he'll just say, oh, he'll cheer us some bits and say, play g5 now or play g4 now. Like g5 looks so random. Like why weaken yourself? Oh, he wants to win the d pawn, I guess. Let's go back. How did this develop? Yeah, so this is a line I used to study, and then I just stopped looking into it. I chose a more intuitive line because it feels weird to put the bishop on a5. It feels like it should get trapped, but the pawn on c5 always prevents b4. And yeah, knight a6 is a weird move, but I think it's very standard for this position. Control c5, discourage b4. And it looks so weird, like all these black pieces just on the queen side. And then g5. I feel like g5 should be a move that's still preparation. Huh. Okay, so is black winning a pawn? You take on d5. Wait, so takes. Problem is the queen defends in the end in so many lines. A bit fishy or a bit flashy? Not sure how to characterize g5. It could be dubious, it could be interesting. It depends on the result of this game. Like if black wins, then g5 is brilliant. If black loses, it's probably the key mistake. But yeah, it's a weird situation because I don't think he can win the pawn right away. And he really doesn't want to take on c3. Like taking on c3 is suicidal because the dark squares are just so weak because he played g5. Bishop is pinned though. Not sure what that's referring to. So it's black's move. I mean, white has some resources coming up, maybe queen f3. One move I would consider is knight c7. Just increase attackers. Like the knight is defended on f6 by the queen. And I don't think white is in a spot where e4 can be played. Maybe I'm wrong, but like if e4, then maybe then bishop takes c3, knight takes e4, and white's king could be a target too. But yeah, I don't really like this approach because black is the one needing to take a lot of time and energy figuring out what to do early on. Okay, so he takes on h5. Maybe queen f6 next. And queen f6 has some idea of just like trading queens, get some more positional game. So I'd be scared very soon of like h4 and just things opening up. Oh wait, I was looking at some of the other games. I glanced over the game, which I thought was another game, but it's just the same game. White's perspective with the pawn on g5. Yeah, this is definitely the most interesting game, so I think we'll stick on this one. And we should keep in mind, this player, Jan Miller, has lost all his games so far. Wait, right? So we forfeited the first game. But he played Lim in the first round. So yeah, he's 0 out of 3, which I've been in this spot before too. It's not the most motivating kind of situation to be in to play chess, but he's basically in a must-win situation for his team. And his position looks good. Like, bishop takes c3. This is a move I said earlier. It was probably just suicidal. I mean, white still can't take on d5 because the knight hangs. Yeah, I really don't like bishop takes c3. But then again, okay, Joshua has already done his job, like taking down the top player in the first round. So anything after that is icing on the cake. But this is certainly not icing. Like, this could be over very soon. f5. I guess the idea of f5 is to meet h4 with g4. Also to obstruct the bishop, like bishop d3, there's no mate threat. But oh man, when you have to play a move like f5, actually maybe it's still logical, I guess. White is staying alive if h4, g4. If queen h6, probably just queen e7 or rook f7. Just terrifying, like these dark squares. The king is running out of shelter. Like, this is where black kind of wishes the bishop was still on a5 and the knight was still on e4, or on c3. What if black? What if white plays g3, h4? g3 would hang the rook. That would be nice. d6. This is an insane move because it just has a simple threat, and I don't know if black can stop it. Also, it prevents knight c7. I think we're getting to the point where we can safely call g5 a critical mistake. Could have been brilliant if something happened in black's favor, but yeah, the knight is out of play. Like, there's no way to stop bishop c4. And the king has nowhere to run or hide. Like bishop c4 is made in 2. b5. Now the one thing we have seen is, okay, Joshua is a fighter. And he's going to fight. I don't know what the idea is, but okay, if bishop takes b5, the threat is still present. Okay, so he's sacking the knights. Maybe he'll play queen b6. No, the queen's tied down to g5. It's painful to watch. Okay, thankfully the other game's still very much underway. And this is a team competition, so like one individual game, these things happen. It's happened to me many times. I like the fact he's still fighting, despite down a piece. Weak king. Black can play queen f6, then g4. I mean, earlier I was thinking queen f6, but f6 is off limits because of the bishop, unfortunately. Bishops are so powerful, especially in pairs. Tall Rule 73. Good question. I think the plan will be to keep the commentary on my Twitch, just because there's the built-in audience. We do have the Webster Windmills Twitch account, which should be auto-hosting me, but right now I don't think there's much of a reason or incentive to stream from the other account. But we do have access to in the future. If someone else takes over commentary in the future who doesn't have a channel, then we can use that channel. Okay, I feel like we should switch games because we're not going to get the 1 point that we need in this game. Yeah, let's switch. Limley, our top player, against the Theramon. So Sathermon, I'm trying to remember how he did in rounds 2 and 3. Because he lost in round 1? I'm forgetting. I could go to his profile. Shouldn't be too hard. Oops. Okay, so he has not won a game yet. He drew Shimanov and lost to Ilya. So he's been having a rough day, and now he's playing former World Blitz champion Laquang Liem, and actually seems to have a difficult position. Like we saw the opening earlier, White playing this bishop's opening with knight e2, something I've never seen before. I think one of the points is that White preserves f4, but allows d5. It seems like some sort of reverse Scotch. White has a little bit less space. The position looks relatively like equal around here, but now we see f4, which is probably one of the reasons for this like earlier king h1, or White eventually does want to break with the pawn, open the f-file. And I'm liking the coordination, like White is finding some nice communication between the pieces. Initiating some attack, the knight was attacked, so f6 was played. And the rook lifts over, g5, wow. So we see g5 the second time in this round. from black. Maybe necessary in this case, defending along the 7th rank. He didn't want to play h6, I guess. But white literally has all the pieces on the king side. It's a lot of attackers. So bishop trades off. Wait, did he just get forked? Like when I highlighted this, it looked so impressive, but after knight f4, that's a fork. And he's thinking here, that's not a good sign. That's really not a good sign. You'd imagine a super GM would see this fork threat. And that was a threat when black played knight g6. Oh, chess.com was about to log me off. I had to say, yes, I'm here. I mean, okay, you can sack on f4, maybe win the pawn back and try and exploit the king. But what else is he considering? Moving the queen? I mean, what are the candidate moves here? Oh, maybe knight f6 check. What's going on in that variation? If rook g6, we take the knight. If king f7, there's rook h7. So why does knight f6 just... Wait, knight f6... Oh, things could get complicated. All right, if the king moves, we just take h7. Maybe he's just making sure. Like, maybe it's winning, and he's just making sure it's winning. Because I don't see what black does after this. Knight f6, rook takes f6, queen takes g5, hitting the rook. Rook g6, and then we just take on f4. Yeah, queen takes h7, loses material, unfortunately. But if people can tell me if I'm missing anything with knight f6, because this looks really good for white. Rook Song, hello. I'm not in Bangkok yet. I'll be in Bangkok at some point. I haven't booked my flight to Bangkok, but I booked my flight out of Bangkok, so I have to be there at some point. What is queen f3? I'm so confused about this game. Like, knight takes f6 seems so logical and forcing. I mean, I'm sleep deprived, so maybe I'm just missing something obvious. Queen f3, I guess the point is to like somehow pin the knight, and then like, if knight takes h3, we can take. So yeah, when I said that white got forked earlier, it was not one of these like elementary forks. There's some very deep underlying tactical variations, which are difficult for even like strong GMs to calculate. We can see, okay, white is low on time. Usually he has a time advantage. Yeah, so Joshua is still playing, but he's getting mated. Ilya... Oh, Ilya appears to be... I don't know what's going on in his game. Shima looks to be much better. We'll stay on this game. I don't like to switch too much. Because the position is still fascinating. I don't even know what to calculate here. I guess if black wants to, he could defend f6 and play some move like king g7. And then the rook has to move. So maybe that's one potential variation. Thanks for the comment, Digital717. Really going to have to go back and look at this knight takes f6 move. Because queen takes g5 could be playable. But okay, so if king g7, rook g3, then white has some threat. Like, white's still having pressure here. I'm imagining whatever black does, if it's not knight takes h3, then white will go for rook g3 and h4, and just try and undermine black's setup. So he takes on h3, so takes on f6. Now, this is hanging, and I was going to say a8 is also hanging. Wow, so they're getting into some queen ending. I think he has to... Oh, he doesn't have to take the knight. He could throw in some checks. Really not sure how to evaluate this. I think white's better. Like, white should be playing for the win. Because this king is a bit more loose. And if queen takes h3, white can start delivering checks. Like, at the very least, there should be some perpetual. Maybe start with queen f8. The material is equal. Okay, so Joshua officially lost. Ilya is still playing, and Shimanov's still playing. Real quick, Shimanov has 2 rooks for rook, knight, and bishop. It looks like he's winning a minor piece, though. If bishop g5, h6. And that could just be match over. What? How did this happen? Oh, he got 2 rooks on the 7th. Bishop f6 hoping for this fork. But now we see... Oh, white being clever. Now I kind of want to stay on this game. We might just see a repetition. No, like at the very least black can take and play the rook ending up a pawn. But we might see white hold a draw. The Le Quang Liem game just ended in perpetual. White had nothing. Just to show how this ended, really have to go back and look at knight f6. So current match score is 8-5. We need half a point. Wait. No, the score is off. Or is it? Oh no, it's 8-6. So we need 1 point in the next, or half a point in the 2 remaining games. I'm pretty sure we've clinched the match because Shima is not losing this position. I'll update the match score briefly. 8-6 because Joshua lost and Lim drew. Let me centralize the text. Okay. Wow, G5. G5's the move of the round. 3 games so far black has played G5. Ilya's game, did black play G5? No way, black played G5. Every single game black played G5. I guess in some cases it's okay. Let's go back to this other game. Wait, G5. Wait, G5 looks like a brilliant move here. You just remove the defender of the knight. Or the knight is the defender. You remove it, you win the G2 pawn. And like usually in the middle game, 2 minor pieces are better than 2 rooks. But in the end game, the rooks come alive. Especially like this on the 7th rank, or on the 2nd rank. So he has a rook and 2 pawns for the 2 minors. Still takes effort to win. Actually, both pawns are hanging. Probably king g6 is best. King g6 a rook can't take his mate. And then like if black plays king g6 and or king e6 even, the b pawn can start rolling. King e6 is nice, attack the bishop. The bishop has to stay defending h2. Looks like Ilya is about to win. Wait, just h5? H5, knight e3, attacking the rook. I mean, white is very low on time. Probably just like rook a2. Because the bishop's still attacked. The bishop has to stay along this diagonal. I'm expecting like rook a2, bishop b8, and then b5. Because white's a bit stuck. Hey, Ilya won! Nice final position. Yeah, like up a queen for not enough. So, final game. The Windmills have officially won the match, 9-6. I think the format this season, every point matters. So if we win 10-6, we get like 10 points total for the match score, and then 10 extra points for winning the match. Okay, so we see the bishop retreating to, whoa, we see everything retreating. Retreat, retreat, bishop d2. Interesting move, cutting off the attack of the rooks. The one thing black doesn't want to do is like take on d2 and simplify into a drawn rook ending. So he has to find some way to like keep things interesting. I like g4. Maybe wanting to go for h3. But he does lose b7. White has 6 seconds left. He should win this somehow. I don't know how, but okay, g3, interesting. Like white's about to flag. Take on g3, nice. The threat is g2. Just fork. So rook g6, yeah. This could be a draw. Like if white wins the pawn. Maybe rook f2, there's king g1. Wow. I think somehow white's surviving this. I hope Shima knows the score. He doesn't have to go crazy. Actually, it doesn't matter what he does. Zervangelt J. I'm still abroad. I'm in Thailand, Chiang Mai. I'll be in the US next month. Later next month. Next round 1 g5. G5, like g5 or g4 is one of the worst first moves you can play in chess. Yeah, we're simplifying. Wow. So Shima did not win that. But Windmills won the match. Final score of, can I do math? 9.5 to 6.5. I think I did the math correctly. Nice start to the season. Miami, strong team. But Windmills proved their dominance. It would have been interesting if that first round game with Joshua and Sithuraman decided the match, where our board 4 rated sub 2000 flagged a 2650 GM in a completely losing position. But even if Joshua lost that game, we would still win the match. Okay, so that was fun. Hope people enjoyed that. I think there's a match next week. I actually don't know the exact schedule, but people can find information on prochessleague.com. I'll be doing my regular streams too. I'll be doing more streams coming up with playing viewers, playing more tournaments, maybe doing some Q&As. If people have feedback, let me know. I'm working on putting together a stream schedule, which should be on my website shortly. Week 2. So next week, the game will be... What division are we in? Okay, we're in Atlantic. In 6 days. 6 days? No, this is Pacific time. So 7 days. We're playing the Archbishops. Okay, you don't want to miss next week. We're playing Fabiano Caruana's team and Wesley So's team. Crosstown rivals, St. Louis versus Webster, which is still basically St. Louis. I didn't know that was taking place next week. I'll still be in Thailand during that time. Should have good internet. Planning to stream it. Stay tuned for that. I'm taking off. I would encourage people, if you want to see more Pro Chess League chess, you can watch on chess.com, I think. They better be streaming this. chess.com/TV. I'm going to raid them, so if people want to join the raid, just stay around and then it should automatically transfer you to their channel. So have a good day, people, and I'll see you guys in the future.